Hi, y'all. Welcome to tonight's live stream. Charlie Adelson was convicted of murder in November of 2023. Within hours, his mother was making moves to disappear out of the country forever. Charlie Adelson had just been convicted of hiring two hitmen through his girlfriend, Katie Medbanwa, to kill his ex-brother-in-law, Dan Markel. Prosecutors said during his trial that Mother Donna and Sister Wendy were co-conspirators, that they were actively involved. Dan Markel was shot in his driveway back in almost 10 years before Charlie was convicted. At the time Dan Markel was shot, he was divorced from Wendi Adelson, but they had an ongoing, very bitter custody dispute. So it wasn't a total surprise when Donna was arrested 2 weeks later based on what the prosecution had already been saying about her. What was a surprise was where she was arrested. She was arrested as her husband Harvey and she were boarding an airplane to Vietnam.
How are you? You have an ID?
Cell phone? No, I don't want to give it to you. Why do I have to?
Because my attorney said not to.
Why do I have to give it to you? This is evidence. Evidence. She's under arrest. I have to go with. I have to go. I have to go.
Let me help you out.
No, I have to stay. Please don't do this. Don't stay. You need to grab the bags. Take the bags. Yeah. And you need to wait outside. Okay.
My husband's almost 80 years old. He can't
Yeah, I
come with
can't.
me.
Please, can I go? No, you can't join me there. Oh, don't do this, please.
Please.
Oh,
Someone's
God.
got to help him get home. This is terrible. You can't do this. This is insane.
Hold on to that for me. Is that okay with you?
Please, you don't have that with handcuffs on. She's not going anywhere. Please.
Take you away from here. You take you away from here.
Yeah, we'll go back.
You take you right through here.
Yeah, we'll go back out and just.
You're making a mistake. It's another mistake.
So right there, you've seen the body cam that was taken by law enforcement as they arrested Donna boarding a flight to Vietnam. She never actually made it onto the flight before she was arrested. So one of the reasons that she was arrested, that authorities were there waiting for her, is that Donna was caught on hot mic after calling Charlie and failing to hang up. Charlie, of course, was in jail, having just been convicted in the murder case of Dan Markel. And after she failed to hang up, Donna Adelson talked about what she was about to do, about the fact that they would be leaving the country. So what I want to do is combine what you just saw, the body cam, with what you're going to see connected to Donna Adelson. Now, that arrest that you just saw, that's actually, even though it's just the arrest, right? It's just normally get someone to the jail so that there can then be a legal process instituted against them. That's actually a key part of the state's evidence against Donna Adelson. The state says the fact that Donna wanted to fly to Vietnam, the reason she was doing it is that Donna Adelson knew she was guilty. Consciousness of guilt, they call it. And she was trying to flee the country. Tonight, we're going to delve into that critical piece of evidence, new evidence against Donna that was not available against Charlie. So Donna was arrested in December, I think it was December, maybe November 2023. She's been in jail ever since, awaiting trial. In the aftermath of her arrest, more damning details would emerge. Donna and Harvey had one-way tickets to Vietnam, not a round trip, not a vacation. And in jail calls with her son, Charlie, Donna had said the reason she picked Vietnam was that it was a non-extradition country, meaning that it was a country that didn't have a treaty with the U.S. where the two countries agreed that if one asked the other to send somebody back for legal process, the other country will do it. So most countries do have treaties with the U.S. Vietnam does not. And Donna had admitted on the hot mic that she picked Vietnam for that very reason. It would be harder for Florida to get her extradited for trial for the murder of Dan Markel. So she said this, though, when she thought the call with Charlie had been disconnected. So it's been a key part of the legal battle in Donna's case. Will this be evidence? Will it be allowed to come in? She has moved to keep that part of the call out of evidence. She says she had no idea it was being recorded. And so the judge has said at this point, it will come into evidence that Donna's trying to leave the country is possible as proof of consciousness of guilt, that she knew she was guilty. And so the state will be allowed to present it and the jury will make the decision. But what very few people are talking about is the fact that that one phone call with Charlie is not the only place in these phone calls where there are hints that Donna is about to leave. The calls with Charlie in the day really following his conviction are filled with discussion about all of the things that Donna was doing to prepare, about how rushed she was. So tonight we're going to delve into those phone calls and some of the new evidence against Donna Adelson. Special shout out to our first 5 in the chat tonight: Susan D, 78, Mildred, just Mildred, Michael Lalonde, Maria Z, Oklahoma Gigi. Welcome to all of you tonight. Would you please hit the like button? It helps YouTube wake up and know we're here. So please do that. I would really appreciate it. And if you aren't subscribed, please do. We would love to have you back for more videos. So, all right, let's take a listen to these hot mic calls. And may I say, there's only one part of it that's hot mic, and I'll tell you when that is. The rest of it was clearly stated in the front: you are calling or having a phone call with someone who is in a jail. This is going to be recorded. Know that up front. And it was clear. But there was one point, and I'll tell you when it is, when Donna believes that the call has been disconnected. And I will say, they've been having trouble all day. You can see that from all the short calls. They'd be talking, "Oh, what? He can't hear me. He can't hear me." They'd hang up. They'd try again. And it's been happening all day long. Real problems with getting through. So the day you're going to hear the first one is the day after Charlie was convicted. He was convicted late on the 6th of November, late in workday terms. And now he is in jail. It's the day after his conviction. He has been talking to his mom, to his dad for many times throughout the time since then. This time when he calls, Donna, instead of just talking to him about things with him, she is all stress and all business. And she has 2 people over, an attorney, Susan, and her husband, who is not an attorney. Now, that will be important because at one point, Donna is going to say, "I was meeting with an attorney." That would mean maybe the attorney-client privilege would apply. The problem is the attorney-client privilege applies when you are talking to an attorney and it's not shared outside that. As soon as it gets shared outside the area of the privilege, the attorney and the client, then it's not privileged anymore. So that is an argument that the state will make. All right, so let's dive in. Now, let me give you a little background on how I've done this. These are audio recordings, and they are super hard to understand. I have run them through AI. I've made a transcript, and I just didn't think it was good enough. So I've gone through the transcript, and I've sat here hunched over. Listen to that again. Listen to that again. Listen. This is the best I can do for the transcript, but I see this as a way of, I see this as a collaborative effort. If there are parts you can hear and understand, please let me know, because I'm just doing the best I can to understand it, and hopefully we can get pretty close. All right, so let's listen.
Before I picked up the phone, but there's a lot of things that we have to do, and we've got a very tight time frame. So one of them involves taking care of some things for Roman, taking care of some things through Steinberg. It's just, Dad's been on the phone all day, and Susan was nice enough when I called her. She said, "I'm going to gather everything up and I'm going to drive down." So she and Rick got here about, 10 minutes before you called, so that she could work with us, because we got a couple of hours of stuff to take care of for Roman. So working on that, and just a lot. But You're going to be okay. You're going to get out of that stupid room. Once you do, you'll start to feel a little bit better. I know that. And when I have something that I do need to tell you, I'll speak to Dan. Okay? So, and then I'll let you know what time to call him. Can you hear me?
So what's happening is Donna and Charlie are talking about, well, Charlie isn't even talking. So far, it's been all Donna, and she is all business. She's talking about how we've got all this stuff to do. They're particularly working on making arrangements to make sure that Charlie's son is cared for. He's with his mother, so not cared for in the physical sense. I think they mean financially. And they've been working on that, and she's saying, okay, I'm not dismissing the fact that you're in jail and have been through a lot, but you're going to be okay. And when I have something I need to tell you, I'll tell you through your attorney. That's Dan that they keep mentioning, Dan Roshbaum, who was Charlie's attorney during the trial that he has just lost the day before. So as I mentioned, the phone has been cutting out repeatedly. Donna and Charlie are talking, and she knows when they talk, it's recorded, but she thinks this call has cut out, when this time it has not cut out. Charlie isn't on the line. He's not hearing. They aren't talking, but it's still being recorded by the jail system. And she is going to talk. First, let's hear her talk about, and I've cut it way down, but because she waits a long time for him to come back on. So I've cut it down.
Charlie, can you hear me? I'm sorry. The fourth time that they cut the line each time. Have to pay for every minute, but they keep charging every time you reconnect. I mean, I'm sure he'll call back or just keep getting disconnected.
So around this time, the recording gets kind of garbled, but we'll pick up with Donna talking about Charlie having gone to jail for something he didn't do, and that she's not that strong. It's not completely clear what she's suggesting. You will hear that. I do want to say a special shout out to Janet, who has been a member for 17 months, which I think is our total time, or pretty darn close. Thank you, Janet. I'm so glad to hear that. And Asian Posh Doreen has been a member for 11 months. Thank you both so much. I really appreciate that. If you're not a member, you can join by hitting the join button down by the channel name. Unless you're on your iPhone, then you need to either go in through the browser instead of the YouTube app, or go in on your computer and you'll see the join button right there. Asian Posh is thinking that this is not going to go well for Donna. And Marlon is one of our two mods. Marlon and Mama Pinks are our mods. He's the Tree Damage Support Fund from Jerry. Jerry, Marlon's dog, the most famous dog in all the Netherlands, thanks to you. And the tree damage is because a tree fell on our house on Sunday. And so we are dealing with that. It really was pretty miraculous. We had as little damage as we did. So I remain kind of shaken by it, but really feel very blessed, because it really was a miracle that my daughter was completely unscathed. My dad, no problem. So anyway, thank you, Marlon. I appreciate that. Marion, thank you for the super sticker. I appreciate that. All right, so let's dive into what exactly is it that Donna Adelson is saying.
Go to prison. This is what he didn't do. I can't push it. I'm not that strong. And I also know how he, in a year and a half, his body and everything just slowly started to deteriorate. I'm old. I have a life. We had a great marriage. Happy, we traveled, we lived good. I was really not unhappy. And I wasn't willing to just say goodbye and let me lie down. It wasn't painful. I just couldn't go to sleep. We bought our cemetery property a couple months ago. We're good. I'm good. What Wendy did this weekend, because I said something that made her feel like I had enough, and I'm not going to watch. If the trial doesn't go well, I know what I need to do.
So it's not really clear exactly what Donna is saying. It is clear that Wendy was concerned that Donna was thinking about unaliving, that she was actually considering that as an option at this stage. Donna denies it.
Fine. I'll see the boys tomorrow night. Do I want to go to sleep and not see my son? I do. Perfectly honest, I do. And we'll do it. We'll do it together. Leave a note. They'll know when to come and get us. And we'll do it together.
So that may be what she's talking about. That is not, however, what she was going to talk about in the next minute. So that part's a little unclear. But what is clear, what the state wants to use, is the evidence that Donna intended to flee the country and that she was thinking through where exactly she would go. She was making a conscious choice about where to go. And Donna seems to imply that she talked it over with Daniel Rashbaum, Charlie's attorney, who had just represented Charlie in the case he had just lost.
Going to make a decision at some point. So after speaking to Dan this morning and knowing what they're thinking up there, I don't know if we'll make it out in time. I really don't. Because Dan said, you might, or you might do all of this, get to the airport, and they'll stop us. And that could happen. It could happen. I don't know, but it's worth a try. I've tried and tried and tried. I don't know what I'm doing. I've lost it, but I don't know what I'm doing. And we have to look at stuff for Roman so that we will.
So it's clear that Donna and Harvey are thinking about leaving. That one of the things that she talks about is when they talked to Dan, Dan told her, well, you might, she says, I don't know if we're going to make it out in time. And the prosecution thinks what she means is that they may be stopped by law enforcement. And that's reinforced by the next sentence where she says, because Dan said you might, or you might just, I think it's go through all of it, get to the airport and they'll stop you. And that could happen. It could happen. She says, I don't know, but it's worth a try. So she's talking about the idea that if they get to the airport, maybe law enforcement will stop them. On the other hand, maybe they'll get out. This, I think, alerted law enforcement. The fact that she said this on a phone call recorded at the prison alerted law enforcement to what she was considering. There was also communication from somebody who supposedly told law enforcement about it. We will probably hear more about that when it comes time for the trial. But at this point, she hasn't left, but she is concerned already that she may be stopped at the airport, which is exactly what happened. From the way she phrases it, that Dan said that they might stop you at the airport, it almost seems more like it never occurred to her that she would actually be arrested at that moment. That it was more like they would stop her and say, I'm sorry, you aren't allowed to leave. We're still investigating. That is not what happened. They actually arrested her. And of course, that's how it would have to be. They can't just tell her you can't travel if they have no intention of arresting her at all. So one of the key discussions throughout the communications between Donna and Charlie, her son, is Charlie is worried about his 5, soon to be 6-year-old son. And the son is living with his mother. The Adelsons seem to be making financial arrangements to take care of him, which the prosecution will probably argue suggests they don't plan to be around in the future. They have to make the arrangements now because they won't be here to do them shortly. So Donna is also waiting, as she's about to talk to Wendi. Wendi Adelson, the former wife of Dan Markel, who has not been charged in the case even today. Now, Donna is saying she really wants to go over things with Wendi. They want to go over wills and financial matters, burial plots, but it's clear Wendi isn't cooperating. They thought Wendi would come running over, she says, that very night. Wendi didn't. When Charlie was convicted, she hasn't returned their call. She isn't talking to them, even in the face of Charlie being convicted the day before, which has to have been devastating for the entire Adelson family. Let's keep going.
Needs to give you some information shortly, and we need some business assistance. Please let us know if you can be of any help. I have a safe here. I want to give her codes. We're going to be gone. I want her to have all this information. I have the cemetery property. I want her to see all that. I want her to have all these papers and the wills. I want her to see all this. So please let us know if you can be of any help.
So one of the things I couldn't place, she says, I want to give her pose, which is how AI interpreted it. And with that in my head, I couldn't hear anything else. I thought about clothes, but it didn't sound like that. If anybody knows what that word is, I'd be curious what you think. So Wendy is an attorney, and they also want to ask Wendy for business assistance. So they want to go through all of these details about their estate. You know, where's the money? Where is everything? They want to go over that with her, but they also want to ask her for some additional assistance. She calls it business assistance. Here's what she said.
The other thing is the visa, which she would know about. But no, I said we need some business assistance. Please let us know. If not, we'll try to find someone who can help us. This needs an immediate reply so I can start asking other people to help. And then she always gets nervous if we want to talk to her. So I wrote, don't get nervous. Again, nothing, capital letters, nothing about the case. Just would like to show you some business stuff and personal things. If you can't do it, we must find someone who can. I hope you understand that it has nothing to do with the case. There is no more case. And then I wrote, by the way, you said you have to focus on the boys. Have you told them? So when I got George before, nothing about the case to him, just would like to, because I was over there last night. I said, well, I asked Wendy, but I haven't gotten any word from her, so did she tell the boys? And he said, she did. Now, I know she was very close. She was writing to Charlie all the time. So I said, how are they? He's been very quiet. He didn't really talk much. He just kind of faced it and said, so he's never coming home. He's never coming back. And so he said it took him 10 minutes and he was into basketball. I said, fine, he's a child. That's okay. I don't want to see them miserable and upset. That's not my goal. I just want to know how are they. We have the photos. We have to get them downloaded. And the other thing I don't understand, how my daughter could help me with this.
Let me stop it right there and talk for just a second. So Donna is asking her son-in-law, or I don't know if he's actually married to Wendy at this point. His name apparently wasn't it George? Anyway, she's asking him for help getting photos downloaded and clearly making plans for something big. And we soon learn what it is, that she wants to travel to Vietnam. At least she thinks she does. She wants Wendy to help with the decision as they pick the country where they're going to go. And the key is she's looking for a non-extradition country. She says that, meaning she's looking for a country where it would be harder to get Donna sent back over. Not impossible, but just more work, more tedious, more difficult.
Because things change if there is extradition from Vietnam. Because we've looked at all the places. I mean, I could go to Korea and China, but there's no extradition. But we're looking for places where there's no extradition. Oh, really? Maybe she knows about. Maybe she can look up the extradition issue before we waste our time.
Now, there was a part in there that I really couldn't make out where it seems like something that Donna's happy about. She goes, really? Good. But I don't know what that was about. But in this particular case, she's suggesting maybe Wendy can help them figure out the extradition and where exactly they should go. She says, well, yeah, we could go to like Korea. I assume she means North Korea or China, but that's probably not where we want to go. So she's looking at Vietnam. But the friend, whoever it is, so Susan, I believe, who is with Donna and Harvey, asks a question. And that is, do you really trust Wendy? Is she on your side? Is she going to tell law enforcement that you're trying to leave the country? But Donna has a solution to that.
She can tell on you that my parents are in the country. My lawyer told me. But if you mention it to Wendy, is Wendy going to tell somebody?
Well, you tell her beforehand. I need to tell you something as an attorney who doesn't talk. and has nothing to do with the case. It just has to do with Mom and I and some decisions that we have to make.
So Donna says, I've got an idea. Let's use the fact that Wendy is an attorney and we can get her to be our attorney. And then she can't tell anybody what we tell her. And frankly, Donna is just put out that Wendy is not showing up and she isn't willing to participate in this after all that Donna feels that Harvey and she have done for Wendy over the years. So let me say a few thank yous. First of all, Miss Spunky, thank you for gifting 5 lawyerly memberships. Marlon, who is laboring with a double broken hand and arm, we'll put in the chat how exactly you go about getting that. You have to turn on your ability to receive a gifted membership, and then YouTube and its wisdom randomly gives that out. Megan, thank you so much. I appreciate the super chat and your nice comment. And Girl Ryan has a great point. She's talking about the safe, wants to give her the code. I bet that's what it is. Instead of pose, the code. That makes total sense, or maybe even codes. I don't know if it was plural or not, but that's a great point. I bet you're right, Girl Ryan. Thank you. Oh, and Dolly, who's been a member for 11 months, thank you, is saying, well, maybe it means telling her how to present herself. Well, that's possible too. I appreciate y'all working through this with me because it's going to be very important at the trial. The prosecution's going to try to get as much of this as possible in. And so I think the jury will hear it. So it'd be nice to have a good understanding of what exactly is said before we get into that part. So let's hear Donna's big idea for how she can talk to Wendy.
Yeah, I know you want to bring her up and show her where everything is. It's a plane crash. No one's going to know where anything is or who belongs to what. So I would like her to come up here so she can see it. I don't think that's asking too much. She can live 3 hours away. Every time she says, can you do this? Can you come here? Can you do this? Everything. How many times do we have plans that I really can't and have to cancel? Wendy needs us for this. Wendy needs us to babysit. So we've been really good nannies, and I guess our job is up. Because now the boys are older, they can go out with friends, they can do things on their own. So she doesn't need grandma and grandpa. Okay, pretty hurtful. I have one son that I don't speak with. I have one son who's close to being dead. And my daughter, whom I love, is doing this. I don't get it. I don't get it. I said to Harvey, I said, God, our family was cursed. Absolutely cursed. And I don't know how to take care of it anymore.
So that's probably the most obvious example of Donna wanting to flee the country. And the defense has argued very hard that what you just heard should not come in because Donna thought the phone had hung up, that she didn't know she was being recorded, and she was with an attorney. Let's take a quick look at the brief that they filed a full year ago. And first I need to remove this. And then I can add that. Okay, so we're just going to look at a couple of parts in here. We covered it in more detail back closer to when this was filed. And this is a quote that they give the judge from a case in the 11th Circuit, which is Alabama, Georgia, and Florida. That's the court where I clerked, in fact, where prosecutors run into trouble in presenting evidence of flight to a jury is where the inferential chain between flight or concealment and consciousness of guilt is so attenuated to not be responsibly left to the jury for fear of prejudicing the defendant or drawing unnecessary attention to a likely meaningless act. Now, that's a complicated legal way of saying, here's where prosecutors run into trouble. They want to put in consciousness of guilt evidence, but if the flight or concealing what they were going to do isn't really you can't get a really good connection between that and the fact that the defendant is taking responsibility for the act, then you can't put that in because it's obviously going to be prejudicial, meaning the jury is going to draw some really kind of damaging ideas from it. They're going to assume, well, the person must be guilty. So if you can't really connect the fact of flight to being guilty, then you can't put it in there. So it's got to be really connected up. It can't just be a meaningless act where the person leaves. All right. And then let's go on down to this. Here, the evidence is clear, even in jail calls that the state marked as evidence, that Donna Adelson was not fleeing and was not leaving because she had a guilty conscience about being involved in the murder of Professor Markel. She did not hide her travel. She applied for a visa with the State Department. She spoke about her travel openly with her friends. A ticket was booked in her name, not an alias, at her local airport, and she used her own passport. Indeed, her travel was open and notorious. Moreover, and possibly more significantly, if Donna Adelson was fleeing because of a guilty conscience, she would have fled nearly a decade ago when it was clear that she was a main target and suspect. Now, we're going to talk about some other places in the phone calls other than this main one where there is some inference around that. And we're going to talk about whether or not that's going to help the prosecution as they argue this proves Donna thought she was guilty. This proves Donna was trying to flee the country. And they also argue that it became pretty clear early on that Donna Adelson was definitely considered a suspect, at least by the time they tried Katie McBanoa, Charlie's girlfriend, who now admits she hired the hitmen. And yet Donna stayed. Donna didn't leave. In fact, Donna went out of the country and came back when she didn't have to. So that's the argument in a nutshell that they make about why this shouldn't come in addition to the initial argument that she had no idea that it was being recorded and that she was with an attorney. They made all of those arguments. So let me pull that out. Okay. So this, what you just heard, that's the most obvious time. But I think there are some other occasions during the course of these conversations and later conversations where Donna and Charlie are both on the phone. It's clear to Donna that she's being recorded. It's stated up front when she talks to Charlie. And yet there are various things she says. Now, in this next one, you're going to hear Donna talking about how she has been communicating that the person at her house was Susan. Susan's an attorney, and I believe that's her voice you heard in the background there. Let's go ahead and add this. This is from the last one. She was talking about the family.
Rick and Susan are here. Did you hear that?
No, I didn't know that.
Okay, so there's a lot of things that need addressing very quickly. And I called Susan. It's basically a Roman, and it's because certain accounts had to be pulled. Not because we wanted to, but we were forced to. So I needed to straighten things out for Roman, and I had to do it fast. And Susan was very kind, and she and Rick got here about 10 minutes before your first phone call. So they're here, and we're both. She's doing all kinds of paperwork with Dad, and I'm doing some other stuff with. We're going to get everything straightened out, okay? It has to get done, and unfortunately, there's a time on this.
So Donna says, unfortunately, there's a time limit. It's not totally clear what she's talking about. The prosecution is probably going to say she's talking about the fact that law enforcement is close on her heels after her for the murder of Dan Markel, and she's trying to get out in time. It's what she'd said earlier about she didn't know if she would make it out in time. So Charlie tells Donna he doesn't even know what to say to this. And then he talks openly about how he would have done things differently if he had known the way all of this was going to turn out. And Donna says she knows what he would have done differently.
It was like, if I would have, all I could say is if I would have known, I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know, but I feel like people who have more knowledge than me did know. If I would have known that this is what I was walking into,
I know.
I would have.
I know what you would have done. I know what you would have done.
A whole lot different. So thank you.
So she says, I know what you would have done. And he talks about doing a lot differently. So what are they talking about? It's not a comment about anything related to how they would not have unalived Dan Markel. They aren't talking that far back. It really seems to be more focused on what he was walking into, which is the prosecution for the crime, which pretty clearly to me means the trial and what he considered to be a very biased Tallahassee jury. That's a key theme in these phone calls. So I am curious, what is your read about this? What do you think Charlie is saying? What do you think Donna is saying? What is it that Charlie would have done had he known? And what is Donna saying? I know you would have. The prosecution, I think, is going to argue that Donna is saying she understands that Charlie would have left the country, which is exactly what she is about to try to do.
Taking care of stuff for Roman.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. Yeah, they came down. Susan and Rick came down, and that's what I'm taking care of to make sure that he's taken care of properly. You know.
Yeah. No, that's really the only thing I care about right now is that I get taken care of.
Yeah. That's what we have to do.
I just need to. I just want to make sure Roman's taken care of.
I will. I'll make sure that, you know, that's our job now, Charlie, to take care of him for you.
So I do want to say something right here, which is that it's very easy for lots of reasons, I think, for people to dump on the Adelsons and to jump on the Adelsons. I do think this is something they're doing that's really noble. I think their attention to taking care of Charlie's son, that's a positive and a good thing. So I do want to give them credit for that. That doesn't mean that the comments being made related to their leaving won't be evidence against Donna or won't be allowed in. So later that same night, that's a phone call after the one where they'd hung up, and then now they had a new phone call. Now here's another phone call later that night. Again, Charlie is going to talk to his mother, and Donna is at this point really encouraged by all they've accomplished that day with Susan and her husband, all they were able to get done, and that they didn't require food. So you can hear this part. Let's add it back in.
We'll do it.
Wow.
They're wonderful. They ate nothing. They had a glass of water, and they stayed here from the last phone call you made to me. They left, what, about a half hour ago? Maybe 30, 40 minutes ago. They've been here hours and hours and hours. But they truly helped tremendously, especially Susan. So, yeah, that was good. That was good, Charlie.
Okay, so without needing any food, they stayed that whole time and helped. They've been working on this all day, obviously, and she's talked about a deadline, a time limit on this. To me, all of these sort of will play into the prosecution theme that within 24 hours of the time that Charlie was convicted, Donna Adelson is preparing to leave the country. And specifically, if they can get that in, and so far the judge has ruled it in, a non-extradition country. That's why they picked Vietnam. And that's exactly what they had said in the phone call. So they talk about the fact that they have made arrangements for the young child of Charlie.
Trust me, everything is fine in that regard.
So all straightened out.
All straightened out, all taken care of. I feel better.
That makes me feel better.
I thought so. So, yeah. Roman's going to be fine. Bree's going to be fine. She'll be able to take good care of him. He'll have everything he wants or needs. So, you know, you've done that. She's done that big time, way over the top even, that needed to be done. So she's fine.
So, again, all of this taking care of stuff implies that maybe the Adelsons are leaving. There's some reason why they have to do it all right now. It can't wait. And in a phone call, yet another phone call later that same night, Charlie again says he should have done things differently. Donna says she knows what he means, but he talks about how he believed in the system.
Honestly, I would have been so much better off.
I know.
Looking at it from a different perspective, if you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean.
Yeah.
Like I hate, you know, you can't live in hindsight, but I had some smart people say things to me. I really believed in the system, and I thought like it was I thought it was a winnable situation, and I thought it would come across, and I feel like it did. Like literally up until she put 2 hours of like, you know, TV on.
So I think Charlie is saying, based on what you're about to hear, it's possible anyway that Charlie is saying maybe he should have left right after his dog Enzo died. I looked it up. That's who I think Enzo was. You're about to hear a reference.
Yeah.
I actually thought I was going to get a fair jury up here. This was a fucking shame. Like I never should have. When Enzo died, it should have been my side. I should have.
I know.
I know exactly what I'm saying.
I know exactly what you're saying. We know things you don't have to say. I know exactly what you're saying. You know, we both.
And it's like and now I feel like.
I know.
Yeah, like.
So that afternoon, and this is this is, as I said, the day after Charlie was convicted. So actually the last, I guess, at least 3 calls have been the next day. So it's not the evening of, all of these are the next day, but within about 24 hours of the time of conviction. This is maybe 3 hours more than that. Charlie is talking about having met with his attorney, Daniel Rashbaum, that afternoon, the day after the conviction. And I am not sure exactly what this part says either. So if you have an idea, please put that in the comments or the chat. Is he saying here that he should have gone? I'm not sure what he's saying.
He did a great job. But
Dan did a great job.
I said, I told him what I really thought I should have done.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you could have done this case 100 times up here. You were not going to win. And he said, not with that jury.
Okay, so we'll pull that out. And so you can see once again, Charlie making some reference. I don't know for sure if that one says gone or not, but there's been more than one reference here in the phone calls with Donna. There's been more than one reference to the idea that he is, that there's something he should have done rather than show up and be tried because it didn't go well and he should have known that it wasn't going to go well. To me, that dovetails with the prosecution argument that that's what Donna was doing. What she was trying to do was leave the country because she thought it would not go well for her. Again, that plays into their argument that this is consciousness of guilt. This is knowledge that she is guilty. And that's what the argument, the legal argument is for what they're trying to do. So let's take a few questions if you want. And I see, first of all, Mildred, thank you so much for your super chat. She's suspecting that Donna and Harvey really believed Charlie would get off, and that's why they were out of there. So I completely agree. As you read through these, it could not be clearer. They all talk about how totally shocked they were, shocked to the extent that Charlie actually gave away all of his food. He had, food he'd stocked up from the commissary, favorite things he liked. He gave that all away. He was that sure he was going to walk out of there that day. And the parents say, we thought so too. We were stunned. So you are absolutely right. Now, she is not technically out of there within 24 hours, but she's talking about and making plans to be out of there within 24 hours of the conviction. But it's going to take her a while. Was that delay part and parcel of why they got caught? I don't know. She probably has wondered that herself over time. All right. If you've got questions, if you would put question marks at the beginning of your question, it'll help me spot it in the chat. And I see Freddie's cat has one. Are these lawyers, Daniel Rashbaum and Susan, allowed to give advice about fleeing the country? So in this particular case, I don't think there would have been any difficulty with that, in that they weren't, first of all, Rashbaum didn't represent her. So maybe it would be a bad idea to give advice in that particular scenario. But this wasn't it wasn't technically illegal in that at no point had they been charged. There was no warrant for their arrest. There was nothing known about that. So as far as anything showed, they were allowed to leave. They were allowed to fly. And so that, I think, is a difference between that. Now, with the comments made that we saw tonight, there may be a little more nuance to that because of the fact that there was talk about, well, what if Wendy tells on you and so forth? But again, they had not been charged. So I don't think there was anything directly wrong with that. I think Daniel Rashbaum's advice, well, if you may not make it out, I don't know what they'll do. That was pretty innocuous. He was basically saying, whatever. And as for Susan, it appeared that she wasn't really doing that part. She was simply discussing what Donna had already researched. So that's kind of my read of how it played out. And I can't say for sure that's Susan. They just refer to a Susan. So I'm assuming that's who it is. Do you think there's enough to indict Wendy? Louise asks. I think that there is similar evidence to what they had with Charlie and similar to what they had with Donna. I don't think it's hugely different. There have to be a lot of insinuations made for any of them. There have to be a lot of inferences. Well, this happened, therefore we presume. The biggest problem is that when there was the bump, Wendy did not appear to get dragged in with that. It was just Charlie and Donna. So that's going to be the biggest obstacle to pursuing Wendy. But I think they made it pretty clear they want to. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if they went ahead and tried it. I think part of their strategy has been to take these through the various people who might be guilty and try them, convict, try, convict. And Charlie was toward the end, and then we've got Donna. So I think they've done it in a progression that way. All right, looking for question marks at the beginning. Tara, do you think law enforcement caught her because they had heard the jail call, or do you think someone tipped them off? I think we actually got information that someone notified law enforcement. I can't remember. It may have been in the warrant. So I think but it could have been both. It could have been that they heard it in the jail call and that there was this comment from somebody else. So I can't say for sure how law enforcement learned it, but good question. Interesting question. All right, looking for question marks at the beginning. And let's see. Okay, we've got, I don't think that's a question. Okay, let's go back over here. All right, I think we have covered it all. Be sure to hit the like button if you would on your way out. And if you aren't subscribed, subscribe. We would love to have you back to hear more videos. We're going to be covering Donna Adelson all week, this week and next. We go live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern. There is a hearing in this case on Friday. Some last motions in limine to be heard before her trial begins on the 19th of August. So this is all coming very quickly to the point at which she will actually be on trial in connection with the murder of Dan Markel. So be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you on Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern.